Are you a white Jew?
Am I white passing? Absolutely.
Am I black or am I black passing?
If you're basing it on your skin color, black's just a Western construct.
I thought it was a biological reality. Melanin is found in the skin, the eyes, the hair. It makes pigment, it makes you darker. So that is a biological reality. That is not a Western construct.
Let's say we were in a country where everyone's black, and I asked you, what are you? Would you say I'm black?
I would say, yes, I'm black.
All praises unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakwadash. Double honor to our apostles, for our elders who rule well. Blessings and salutations to you brothers out there teaching and enduring truth and sincerity. This Rob I'm off with the Nebraska cap, GMS and he pushing the mark. Yeah, so you see in post production, you know, I think his name is the Saint or something like that. I'm quite sure his name is the Saint. You know, he just recently came out with a statement, as you see in post production, speaking on, you know, the term black and white and all that. And actually, I don't know how far the conversation goes. Only seeing it for that clip. But just to give clarity, you know, to any misconceptions, is that term black is a westernized term. It is. You know, that began in the East in Europe, or you can say it got approved through Europe. Okay, and that term was a avenue to justify slavery. Now, you know, why would a person need to justify slavery? Is because during that time, you know, matter of fact, got a couple things I brought up. It says the word Negro, okay, because when you go into black, is, you know, black, Negro goes back to black, okay. And the reason why the word Negro was used is because the Portuguese and the Spanish, okay, the Portuguese and the Spanish were the ones that were the first ones coming over here, okay. And it says, I'll read it real quick. It says 16th century, which is the 1700s. In the 16th century, as the transatlantic slave trade intensified, the term Negro became increasingly associated with the institution of slavery. It was used to denote individuals who were considered property and subjected to forced labor and exploitation. All right, very important statement, because that's where you get 3/5 of a man. That's where you get black. That's where you get eugenics. Okay. Of course, eugenics came, I believe it came later on down the line. But there's you know, the portion of saying that, you know, the certain part of the brain, the skull is thicker, which links to submission, and that's why black people are fitted to be slaves. But when you go back to Cristobal Colon and the Portuguese and the Spanish, you know, they were the ones that, you know, approved through the Vatican that people had to, you know, to be black, because once you go into the scriptures, it tells you that you got to treat certain slaves a certain way. All right, it tells you about the 7 years. You know, it tells you if you cut a foot off or you cut a part off. You know, it tells you like certain ways. There's a structure or a standard of treating slaves. All right, and what the Vatican did to get around that was to use the 3/5 concept, the Negro or the black. You know, they even use geographical land places, such as, you know, saying that, you know, you couldn't enslave natives because they were a part of that land, therefore they're not your property. Because Esau created a standard through contracts. You know, let me see here. Get this real quick. So in Sirach chapter 10 and 8, it says, because unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. And that's what happened, is that there's a lot of riches here that was gotten by deceit. Okay, there's a lot of from gold to land. They came over here and stole land and made proclamations. And and really they were just honoring each other. The Spaniards, Portugals, the English, all those was, when they read these proclamations, it was for them, not based off of, okay, this is how you conquer lands, And so they got those riches by deceit. They would then, because they'll get the land and then tell the natives that y'all violating laws. And the natives is like, what the fuck laws you talking about? Well, based off this document and such and so, it says that you're supposed to, and they're like, that who wrote that document? Proclamation by King such and such. This is the tactics they were doing, and so this is how they got a portion of their riches by deceit. Okay, and on top of gold, land, and cattle, how they did the buffalo, slaughtered all the buffalo to force immigration on the natives. Okay, and also this black thing. All right, calling Israelites black or Negro. Okay, because it's ultimately to do what? To justify them treating them less than human. Because again, once you are considered human, the Vatican has to then respect the Bible. Okay, so getting back to it, because you got to think, these people that were coming over here, the pilgrims or wherever you want to put it. Yeah, so they pretty much was, my phone keep cutting out, so I don't know where I'm at. But they didn't know, Slovakia, the authority at hand was the Vatican. So, if anything went wrong or they broke a law, the Vatican was the standard. That's why when you really get back down to America in itself, its conception, it was Christian based. And it wasn't because there was God fearing, it's because there was God led. All right. The Vatican was leading all this. That's why, marriage at a certain age was condoned. Women not working was condoned. That's why they was trying to fight for separation between church and state and all this, because the Vatican was the ones who was declaring the rules. And they didn't come over here to separate church from state. They came over here to set up a business. Is because if that was the case, why would the church then, the church who had ultimate rule over everybody in Europe, okay, why would they then allow you to come to a country and separate yourselves? And then they fund that. That don't make any sense. That's a total loss of revenue. Why would they try to push for people to come over into the Americas, knowing and the people didn't want to go because the odds were starvation and death? Why would the Vatican, trying to go for that? All right. It's because they was coming over here for business. All right. This is I think it was like a little after the Crusades. Crusades, like you could say about 500 years. I don't know the exact year, because I know around Mansa Musa and the Moors. After that, then the Crusades and the Reconquista was the reaction to that. All right, because that's when the Moors took over Europe. That's when we tell y'all Robin Hood, Beethoven, and all these people with Jake. That's around that time. You know what I'm saying? Because Jake came back up into power through the Arabs, aka the Moors, because the Arabs are Arabs, but Moors were Israelites, and they call them Africans who converted to Islam. That was Israelites who converted to Islam. All right, and they were in Ireland, they were in Europe, they was taking over a lot of places. All right, even Portugal and Spain, they was fighting for a lot, and the Reconquista got them back into power. Okay, and during the Reconquista, they was taking a lot of land, taking a lot of artifacts, taking a lot of gold, and saying it was in the name of God, manifest destiny, such and so on. So, okay, I say all that to say, okay, you did all that. Now you about to come over here, and they justified it all. They did it in the name of God and Christianity. So how do you take a bunch of people that ain't do nothing to you and enslave them? Okay, you have to then create a term to say that they're not human, because when you get into the scriptures Exodus 21:20 says, when a man strikes his slave, male or female, with the rod, and the slave dies under his hand, he shall be avenged. Meaning the Vatican was supposed to come over plenty of times and execute a lot of slave masters, right? But because you created the term black or Negro or 3/5 of a human and created these scientific concepts, then you are not obligated to uphold the scriptures. Okay, so that's all that was going on. All right. See here. I'm trying to find, other examples. Exodus 21:16. Whoever steals a man and sells him, and anyone is found in his possession, shall be put to death. All right. That's a verse. All right. And there's a bunch of other ones that are examples. Okay. And then when you go into Exodus 21:6 too, says, when you buy a Hebrew slave, he shall serve 6 years, and in the 7th he shall go out free for nothing. Don't it say love thy neighbor? Esau tried to say neighbor is everybody. All right. When you enslave somebody, you're supposed to let them go after 6 years. But because we were 3/5 of man, we were black, we were Negro, we were niggers, then that classified us as non-human. Just like pygmies. They classified them as non-humans. Those are humans, man. Okay? So after 6 years, you're supposed to let them go. If he is single, if he comes in single, he shall go out single. Because if you come here, like really, well, if we been emancipated, that's different. But if we would stayed in the South and all that family we would have built, if we say let us go, and they say all right, y'all can go, we can't take our family with us unless we came in with them. Okay, but if we were slaves and we got took it from West Africa and we got separated from our families, then I get settled in Louisiana, and then I'm on this rice or sugar plantation, and I meet Sarah, and Sarah's bad, and we have a family, and then the Vatican say, you know what, y'all wrong for that, y'all gotta let the people go. Then you gotta let Sarah go, and you gotta let me go. But I can't say on the demands of we are married, I gotta leave with her. No, that's two different situations. But that child, no, because that's that slave owner's possession. All right, because humans can be a possession. A woman can be a possession, and slaves can be a possession. And slaves were, and still are to this day, eager to do that. All right, when we get jobs, we're becoming slaves. All right, we sign contracts, and we're giving up our rights, our human rights, to do something that somebody else wants us to do contractually. So, therefore, within that regard, we then are slaves. Okay, so again, fast forward into what he's saying that it wasn't, and he's being simple, because as Proverbs chapter 14 verse 15 says, it says, the simple believeth every word, but the prudent man looketh well to his going. And the guy Saint, he is a Americanized. He's been educated through America, or programmed through America. So he believes whatever he learned in them books, and because he's backed by money through everything he learned, then he believes that is right. Money don't make you right. Okay, the truth makes you right. And the term Negro or a Niger does originate. The term originated in Europe, and in Europe, but it was implied and used in the West. All right, and let's get this. It says 1 Kings 9:7, and it says a couple times. It says, then I will cut off out of Israel. It's like I will cut off Israel out of the land which I have given them, and this house which I have hallowed for my name will I cast out of my sight, and Israel shall be a proverb and a byword among the people. And that's what we have become: niggas, spicks, wetbacks, tomahawks, Indians, such on and so forth. Okay, and so that term did originate on this side. Now, once you get into, well, what were everybody being called before then. They were being called by their nation because Esau is an anomaly. Okay, and when you get that word anomaly, it's see here, it goes back to deviation. Okay, abstract. All right, and means not, and sim means one or together. So they're not together with everybody else. All right, and it says that in Wisdom of Solomon, they're not. We esteem them as counterfeits. Okay, and so they're not only their looks are an anomaly to all nations, because all nations started off dark. You had a Ham, Shem, and Japheth. What differentiated us from other nations? Now, the guy said in a video, it was the star of David, or the what is it, the 6-pointed star? You know what I'm saying? Which if they use that, we don't use it, but it's been used. So Jake sometimes and even at points have used it, but in its essence, you're Israelite by your genetics. Okay, so what is Ham? He's still Ham. He's still Ham by his genetics. All right, you will know people normally by their land and by their culture. Okay, we as Israelites to the Babylonians, the Assyrians, okay, they judged us based off of our culture. Those people ways are abstract from our ways. Okay, that they pretty much there was in Esther and or Esther in the Apocrypha, they were saying like we esteem our ways better than their ways. We're rebellious against all nations. Okay, you know what I'm saying, and that was our rapport amongst other nations. Okay, now Esau's rolling around, but at the same time, all nations that were dark skinned, which at some point all nations were dark skinned because Esau as an anomaly came out with us. Jacob and Esau is technically the youngest nation on planet Earth. Okay, the two most important nations on planet Earth, but at the same time, the two youngest nations on planet Earth, which refutes all that. Oh man, we gotta go to the original. We gotta go to the original. It's at where the Lord's choosing, man. All right, the Lord passes it down because there was people before Adam. All right, well, Adam was always walking around, but the Lord chose Adam from amongst the people and breathed the breath of life into him, which gave him his ways, same way he did Enoch. Okay, he was giving him his ways. All right, to breathe with, they conspired. Okay, to inspire, conspire, transpire. It's all respire means breath, aspiration. Okay, but yeah. So at the end of the day, I just wanted to bring that out, because Jake was divided by culture. All right, matter of fact, let's get that because he was confused on that. We'll end it on that because we're gonna go with the scripture says, not with these lunatics. Okay, these podcasters. I hate podcasters, man. Okay, so Sirach 33:10, it says all men are from the ground, and Adam was created of the earth, because Adam means ground, not red. Okay, so how it's gonna mean red and ruddy at the same time? Esau's lies that he perpetuates. Okay, because they'll call themselves white and they'll call themselves red at the same time. Which one is it? Are you white? Or are you red like Esau? Okay, which one are you? You tell me. But let's continue on. It says, in much knowledge the Lord hath divided them and made their ways diverse. All right, some of them hath he blessed and exalted, and some of them hath he sanctified and set near himself, and some hath he cursed and brought low and turned out of their place. So this is the way nations were divided. We all had different ways. You know what I'm saying? And the nation of Israel always adhered to Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai. That's why we were set next to himself. That's why we're holy, set apart. Okay? We're a peculiar people. We're a special people like unto him. Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. All right? So, yeah, man, just wanted to bring some clarification to that. With that being said, I'm going to give all praise to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashem, B'chal Kodash, the honest apostles who are elders who rule well. Blessings and salutations to you brothers out there teaching and enduring truth and sincerity. Shalom.